All right. 1, 2, 1. No audio. 1, 2, 1.
You're not getting anything from the speakers? No. I'm hearing it in here. I'm not sure what the network. Oh, great. You gotta find the audio guy. Ray's still back there.
Grab Ray quick. One, two, three, one, 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 one. All right, everybody, take a seat. We're going to get started. It's 8 o'clock. We're in Dayton, Ohio, and this is Contest University 2013, and we're pleased to have everybody here. So, how many guys here have been all 7 years? Oh, all 7 years. How many guys, this is your first year? Look at that. Look at that. Welcome, the rookies of 2013. We're really, really excited to have you here today. Is November 2 India? Have your badge. You're going to need this. This is your Hamvention badge, etc. So if you'll come up and get that. I also, K1SO, Jerry in the back has parking vouchers for those of you who are not staying in the Crown Plaza. If you're staying in the Crown Plaza, you can get validated downstairs. But Jerry's got parking vouchers in the back, K1 Sugar Ocean, and thanks to Jerry for all of his hard work here at CTU. I want to give thanks to November 5 Oscar Tango, who did a lot of the work here this morning. Also to W3YQ, DL1QQ, who helped out, making sure that everybody got sorted through the line. And Tabitha and Jasmine, who are here every year doing a super job. Make sure that you look inside your bag for the manila folder that has the waiver release form. If you'd fill that out. Jerry has boxes back on the registration area. Make sure you fill out the waiver release form. And then also during lunch, if you would, the vote sheet is very important for figuring out which classes will repeat. So the vote sheet is not for your favorite class, it's for the class that you wish you would have seen in the morning, because we'll rerun the top classes in the second place, okay. Make sure that you see the INRAD has got a nice voucher here, free shipping if you order from INRAD, and then also a $5. That would be helpful, just to keep the QRM down. Let's see. What else do we have? We have a tremendous lineup of presentations today. I'd like all of the Contest University 2013 professors to stand up, and let's give them a round of applause. These are the guys that do the hard work. They put together all these presentations, and we're very lucky to have them as part of the team here. We are live on the web. Through the Icom guys, we've got a live stream that guys can go to Contest University, the website, and there's a button to click on so that if you have friends back home that are not here and wish they were here, they can see what's going on. At least Salon B will be broadcast all day on the web. So with that, Our first speaker is ready to go. Please welcome Dave McCarty, K5 Golf November.
University is a very good thing, and Tim deserves all the credit for making it happen. So we're going to learn a lot of things today. Tim, how do I make it go forward? You're going to learn a lot of things today. There's a lot of good technical stuff, but today I'm not going to give you a technical talk. We're going to talk about a more maybe fun for some people and maybe more. All right, which button do I push here? There we go. Cheating. Right. Now, this is not about technical, but technical has made cheating easier and also easier to detect. So it's a big deal. But this perennial problem, this has been a problem since what? Since there was wives and other women, right? Yeah. And husbands and other men? Yeah. Okay. This poses a this for the pre-publication of the book that you have, and some of these slides may be a little bit different, but the latest version of Scientific American Mind, which is an offshoot of Scientific American that came out this month, has the title. The cover story is about cheating, and it's an excellent one for you to read after this event is over. So who am I? Who's this guy? Well, I'm here because Timmy asked me to talk. But I'm K5GN. I used to be WN2GAV. That was a long time ago in a place far, far away from where I am now in Texas. But I've been operating contesting for almost 40 years now. And I've done local contests. I've done DX contests. I've done them from Texas, New Jersey, Qatar. Some of my Qatari friends are here today. There's Ali in the back. Yep. So if you've worked me, you've probably worked me on HFCW, but I've done most of the other modes. I think the real question for a lot of us when it comes to cheating is, who are you? Who are you? What kind of person are you? Now, Timmy asked for a show of hands about how many of you guys have been here for the first time. How many of you have been contesting for less than 5 years? Cool. How many for more than 30? Yeah, so we've got a great mix here. One of the best things about Contest University is not so much the speakers, but the opportunity to interact. And some of the smaller forums later will be really good for that. And also, you get to pick out the guys you want to buttonhole later on in the contest suites. So, let's consult the Book of Webster. What does it mean to cheat? I think the second definition is the one that we'll be working on today, right? Of course, if you Google cheat, what you find is mostly entries about how you can sneak off and go to the basement and work FT5XO while your wife is sleeping, right? Right. Okay. Now also, from the other source, right, Wikipedia, a newer source than Webster, what's contesting? Well, contesting is what we do. We go out and we work. We talk to people in a particular target area under a bunch of rules, right? And the rules sort of define the game, but it's a lot of fun, right? Is anybody here that think that contesting is not fun? No, no. Okay. Some of us think though that it's rather an obsession. Is that right? Okay. So here's another way to say it. It's an open, massively multiplayer, online, real-time, intensely interactive game of cooperative exchanges defined by rules. Now, let's go back to cheating. We're going to look at a case study. Let's contrast contesting with online games. some of the younger people here will know what I'm talking about when it comes to online games. Online games are multiplayer games where you enter into a virtual world and you participate with people you don't know, and you don't see them, and it's governed by rules, and you do stuff to be more powerful, and you're a newbie or you're an experienced player, and a lot of the same things happen in this deal. So let's talk about a particular case, Diablo. Diablo was one of the first ones that really made this genre work. It really went from single player or double player video games. It moved into multiplayer games in the 90s, when the internet really became an open thing. And Diablo by Blizzard Entertainment was cutting edge. This was the cat's meow, right? People loved it. They spent hours and hours building the capability of their characters. And the characters, the stronger you were, the more people you'd kill, the farther you could get in the game. All right? What do we do at home or at our friend's house? We spend hours and hours building the capability of our stations, right? Well, after a while, the cheaters found the holes in the software. And they began to be able to take on the power that people had spent months working on in a matter of minutes. And soon, nobody wanted to play the game anymore. They found ways to circumvent the rules. And sales plummeted because users got disenchanted. Now, the result was that people opted out. Diablo, they're trying to make a little money here. It's not quite like the same thing as contests, but the clean players even went to the dark side. If you can't beat them, join them. Now, have you ever seen this happen in our competitions? I think you have. So, Blizzard had to change the game, change the rules, change the way that it was judged. It was a mess. So, how do we used to cheat? Right? Excessive power, rubber clocking, feeding calls to somebody, or reading them out of the call book, listening in on the 2-meter spotting net for the multi-ops even though we're single-op, right? Now, I'm not going to maybe ask for a show of hands, but how many people here have done some of these things, right? We've dabbled. We've touched on the dark side before. Well, along came things that happened later, right? Solid state led to keyers. Well, now it was a little bit more difficult to tell who is at the key, right? And then K1EA and K8CC and N6TR came up with these insanely popular logging software that meant that you didn't get to look at the people's handwriting. So what happened when that came on? Yep, single op 2 ashtray. Yeah, you can't tell who's behind the key. That's right. And then, to top it off, AK1A came up with this packet cluster stuff. Well, now the 2-meter spotting net was available to everybody, right? So there are new ways to cheat from new technologies, right? Well, now, with the internet, it's gotten even worse. Lots of ways to cheat, lots of ways to know where people are, and lots of ways to do things that maybe you wouldn't have chosen to do, or you might not have been able to do in the past. One of the cool things is, and if you were here last year, you learned a little bit of this from Tree. The internet has given us ways to actually find the cheaters more easily in some of these things that people do. And then what's new on the dark side? That's what I say. Linking separate operating sites, new ways to hack into the spots, like watching DX Summit on your cell phone, chat rooms, remote receivers. None of that's good because we're trying to do the right thing here. And what does this do to the adjudicators, right? The people who are trying to figure out what your real score was and who came out first, second, third in your section in the contest. It's a difficult thing. And while that's happening, of course, the old ways live on. So it's interesting. I think I'm looking at my old version here. All right, so how do people decide to cheat? If you consider this to be a whiteboard, you're going to write up your ideas about it. How do you decide to cheat? Any ideas? How do you make it in your mind that it's okay to break this rule? Let's hear a shout out. I'm not going to get caught. Everybody else is doing it. It's easier this way, yeah. Nobody gets hurt. It's a stupid rule. Yeah. They're cheating, I might as well cheat. Yeah. Okay. Well, here's a list that AB7E made and sent to some friends of mine. You see yourself up there? Okay. Yep, everybody does it. That rule was unfair. The rules weren't clear. I figured it must allow this. I can do it, so it must be okay. Yep. Well, let's go through a few of these. Now, many of us, let's see, how do you say this? When you're trying to figure out which of those ways tempt you, you'll find that you come at that question two different ways. I read an interesting study on the way to this talk about middle school children in Israel. And the study was by a guy from Ireland. And he said that basically what they figured out is that you come at this question two different ways. One is morally, right? A sense of right and wrong. And one of them is pragmatically. And it depends on who you are. And it was pretty consistent that the same people came at it the same way. Now, many of us are well-trained morally. On the flip side, we're also really good at rationalizing, right? And others, they don't see it as a moral issue. They just see it as, well, how do I do what I can do within or on the edge of the rules, right? And they look at it pragmatically. How much can I lose? How much can I gain? Or what do my peers do? All right? Both of these in helping as you consider how you're going to stay clean and how this hobby is going to stay clean. So let's go through these. Everybody does it. In the 80s, there was an NCJ editorial about K5's Star and how he ran power in one contest and still ended up losing, and all he did was lose his reputation, right? And that extended to other people. Now, the fives have figured it out. They're on the right track now. The IQ2s and the IR4s and some of the HAs and the UR0s, yeah, they're working on it, and they're not there yet. But we look forward to them coming around. Now, one of the problems with everybody does it is that a little bit of evidence goes a long way, right? This is probably one of the most unobservable competitions ever, right? What we do. Can anybody tell what you're doing? All they do is tune your signal in. They can't see whether you've got somebody else in the shack. They can't see how big the heater is back in the closet down in the basement. No, they can't see any of that stuff. So a lot of people will say, well, you know, that guy's loud. He beats me all the time. He must be running power. I better get me a big amp too. And that's the way cheating spreads. Now, you need to find out a little bit better. The truth is that not everybody does it. In fact, the top competitors don't do it. Let's take an example. This is the top of competition. W3LPL, KC1XX, K3LR. If they've got it, if it's useful in the station, it's there. And if you look at their antennas, you know they're some of the best, right? Well, here's something useful that's come out of the new technology. This is skimmer data. I believe it's from Europe, but I'm not positive of that. One set of charts is their skimmer rate, how many times they were spotted. And another one is their signal-to-noise ratio. Well, let's zoom in on the signal-to-noise ratio. LR's the red, the red boxes, and LPL's the purple X's. Look how they track. Now, these guys have done everything they can to make their signals radiate loud, right? If you were looking at power differences, you'd see one standing out quite a bit over the other. In fact, the only differences are a little bit of propagation and distance. So you know that those guys, if those guys are putting millions of dollars into it and they're not running smash, what do you think? Can we do the same? Yeah, we can do the same. There's no need for us to do it. Another one is living dangerously. You know, it's exciting to break the rules. It's kind of fun to be on that edge, you know. Some people like being an outlaw. We know some people like that. There's one of them on the screen there. He would tell you that he's an outlaw. But there's the other one is nobody's watching, right? Who's the guy in that picture? Yeah, that's me. I got caught with the problem of not having an adequate lockout during a multi-single. And the contest people said, hey, were you kind of pushing this a little bit? Yeah, I was. So I guarantee you, people are watching. People are watching, even on things that you think nobody can tell. Here's another one. In my mind, it's justified, right? This is a set of them. It helped me to overcome my unfair disadvantage, you know. That guy's up on the hill. He's got bigger tower. I can run power. It's not a big deal, right? Or I had to do it to win. Or the rule I broke, it was unfair anyway, right? I think I heard some of those from you guys earlier. Another one, nobody's getting hurt. No harm, no foul. It makes no difference anyway. But you know what? The guy who got that certificate didn't have somebody cheat and cheat him out of it. It was a small score. It was in an obscure category. But he was thrilled to get that certificate, right? You remember your first certificates? Some of us haven't even got one yet, right? It's a cool thing. Now, what if you were the guy who cheated and worked a few more guys than him and he didn't have that opportunity, right? So it can hurt people. And one of the big ways it can hurt people is it can mess up the contest for everybody, kind of like what happened to Diablo. Another kind of group of rationalizations is I'm at the top of the food chain, right? Rules don't mean much to me. I'm bigger than all that. Or that rule is unclear, so I defined it myself, right? Now, what's at risk here? I think as with online games, we run the risk of cheapening or messing up what we call a lot of fun. And also, as with sports stars and others, our reputations are at stake. Our reputations are at stake. Now, what does that make you think of? Who's been in the news lately? There you go. How many of you all have worn an armband, a Livestrong? Yep, some of you have? Yep. He was very, very popular. He led the cycling world for years. He had a win-at-all-costs attitude. In some ways, it was admirable. You could see the intense devotion, right? He thought of himself as invincible. Now, on the other hand, he was in the headlines for years, kind of suspected of doping. The rumors were there. Well, he confessed recently on Oprah. How many of y'all have seen some of that interview or read about it? Yep, yep. It was a big deal for him, and it's a big deal for cycling. Here's a quote from him. It's a long quote. I won't read it to you, but the money part of this quote is down in the lower part. I'll spend the rest of my life trying to earn back trust and apologize to people for the rest of my life. Not only did he cheat, but he also hit pretty hard back at the people who are accusing him, rightly so, of cheating, right? And he's regretting that. And in fact, he's really still under the gun. People still don't believe him. And here's the other part about it that he regrets. I love cycling, I really do, and I say that knowing what I sound like. People will see me as somebody who has disrespected the event, the sport, the color yellow, the jersey, and I disrespected the rules. I'd do anything to go back to that time and do it differently. Now, how do you want to feel about your contest efforts? The thing you put a lot of time into. So, back to that question of who are you? What does winning a contest or doing well in a contest or having fun or participating mean to you? How important is it to you? How important is your radio identity to you? I'll tell you a little bit more about who I am. So I gave you my radio dimensions earlier, but I'm a guy who was born from an Appalachian dad and a South American mother. I graduated high school in Houston. You know, where you graduate high school, that's home, right? Forever. I'm a Texas Aggie. I'm a husband. I'm a father. I'm an engineer. I love soccer. I follow Christ. These are all dimensions of who we are, right? They're not always obvious on the air. In fact, when we get on the air, who are we? Sometimes we sit down at the radio and we're a completely different person. How many of y'all know people like that, right? Yeah, we know people like that. Do we forget that we're brothers, fathers, and professionals? Does our self-centered human nature get in the way? Yeah, it certainly does. So, the question for you is, where did you get your norms? Where do you get them from? I'm hoping you're getting some of them from right here. But you get them from, first of all, from the people who teach you morality, right? Your parents, your grandparents, people you admire, your heroes. They're very important for forming whether you do the right thing or the wrong thing, right? Also from the people you run with, your multi-op team, your field day team, the hosts, your club members. They make a difference too, and you as a club member make a difference in their lives and how they do things. Let's talk about this one. This is a case study of a different sort. Elizabeth Beisel was in this most recent Summer Olympics. She was the reigning world champion in the 400 individual medley swimming event. She was seated first in the final. She'd done all the work. She set a personal record in the final. Did the best she'd ever done. But she lost by 3 seconds. 3 seconds to this Chinese kid. Now, have the Chinese been accused of cheating before? Yes. Yeah. But what did she do? Did she say, she must have cheated? I'm going to have to go cheat? No, she said she had the race of her life. Congratulations to her 1,000,000 times over. That's the mark of a champion, right? Another one of my heroes, Tim Duffy. I'm back to Tim. Tim is strictly legal. Told you about that earlier. He has high expectations of his guest operators, and he enforces them. And what's the result? You know that this year he swept all of the multi-multis in the majors, right? And by doing it right. And here's a few other heroes of mine. Some of them are here in the room. I could list it more, but the screen's only so big. So let me ask you now the money question. What do you really want when you get on the air in the contest? We know what's right. And we know how to apply the smell test. Right? If it's an unfair advantage, it's unfair. Don't break the rules. And we put a huge value on our hobby. And we put a huge value on our radio identities. Do you want to be known as the guy who cheats or the guy who did well? I think the latter. And here's the challenge. Let's strive together to keep our sport clean and our reputations clean. Pick those heroes out that you know do it right and emulate them, both in what can be seen and what can't be seen. Because believe me, the contest guys, the adjudicators, are working really hard to understand how to find the things that are unseen, and they're succeeding. And let's work within our clubs and on the net to bring our peers, both the ones who get it and the ones who don't, to these same goals. You people in here, you're the ones who are really interested and really engaged and really involved. You can make a difference in our hobby and make sure that it stays clean. All right. So the challenge, thanks for your attention. And in the immortal words of the incredible Edna Mold, go, fight, win, and call me in sweepstakes on Sunday. I really like to talk to you.